At last, the saga between Ricciardo and McLaren, as well as Piastri and Alpine, is over. In an interesting and unpredictable turn of events, the younger Aussie will replace his older compatriot in McLaren from the 2023 season as he signed a 2-year deal with McLaren. The Woking-based team surely had one uncomfortable conversation with Ricciardo, as the older Aussie was the only side that could break the deal with them, so he had to agree to buy out terms with them. Nevertheless, the deal between them is now over, and Ricciardo's future remains uncertain as we speak. However, although Piastri is the main one to blame for Ricciardo's fate, it's very surprising how Ricciardo reacted to this situation. Want to find out more? Stick around with us. Daniel Ricciardo signed a deal with McLaren at the beginning of 2021 in a turn of events that was labelled as a surprising one by F1 media. Ricciardo has struggled a lot in his first season with McLaren, and the move from him was labelled as a surprising one because at the end of the day, he had a decent season with Renault, now known as Alpine, and finished P5 in 2020. Many expected Ricciardo to continue with his good form because McLaren finished P3, ahead of Ferrari, Racing Point and Renault, practically being the best of the rest. However, Danny hasn't been able to live to everybody's expectations in 2021, and apart from the race win that saw Norris completing the 1-2 finish of McLaren for the first time after such a long time, the highlights end there. Daniel's first season has been truly disappointing, and 2022 hasn't been kind to him either. So far, he has earned just 19 points with 7 races remaining on the calendar, and it's difficult to see that he'll improve anytime soon. The latest hit in his performance was in the Dutch GP, where he finished P17 out of 18 drivers that finished the race, with Latifi being the only one behind him. That has to be painful a lot, and according to Ricciardo, he thought that nothing worse can happen in 2022 prior to this GP, but he was assured otherwise after the race ended. I feel like there's been a lot of bad races. I say it's the worst, and I didn't think it could get worse. It's weird as well, because I think back to FP1. I remember the first few laps of the session, and race engineer Tom was like, "Alright, that's P1," and I was like, "Alright." Not everyone had set a time, but I felt it was trending to be a much better weekend. And that's where it's a weird one. I know qualifying got away from us through the last corner, but I felt like we were looking a much better car, or in a better place after the first practice session. So yeah, tough but certainly not a good weekend, said Ricciardo after the Dutch GP. Now that his destiny is finally over with McLaren, what's next for the 8-time race winner? After all, he is still a hot property on the grid, and although he hasn't had a decent race in the last 2 seasons apart from the 2021 Monza GP, Ricciardo can provide decent results as he did in Alpine. This is why a reunion with the Enstone-based team would be the best option for Ricciardo as we speak, but there is one problem regarding this reunion happening. The problem is that the French team is looking forward to signing Gasly, the 26-year-old Frenchman who said that it would be a dream coming true for him to drive in the French-based team. AlphaTauri is willing to sign him if they can get Colton Herta from the IndyCar 500, something that is supposed to be finalized prior to the Monza GP. Another option that Ricciardo could have is Haas. It's known that Mick isn't in a good relationship with the team and is likely to become a free agent in 2023, likely to cut loose with Ferrari's ties too. Mick is currently a member of Ferrari's academy, and Binotto hasn't been satisfied with the young German's performance, and although he has improved and scored his first points this season with decent finishes at P8 and P6 in Silverstone and Austria respectively, it seems like that is not enough. However, Haas will give Antonio Giovinazzi a chance in free practice sessions in Monza and Austin, and given the fact that Gio is a reserve driver in Ferrari, he would be a preferred candidate in Haas over Ricciardo. To be frankly honest, Gio wasn't really good in his tenure in F1 in Alfa Romeo, but we know that Magnussen wasn't good either prior to his comeback in Haas and has scored decent points for Haas in 2022. Steiner said that he talked with Ricciardo during the summer break and said that everything is open. According to him, even Mick's remaining in the team is possible, although less likely compared to the other options. Ricciardo would have to take a huge pay cut if he comes to Haas because the team won't be able to pay near $15 million of what he's supposed to earn from the buyout terms from McLaren. Another option that Ricciardo has is to go to Williams. However, that team isn't really attractive when it comes to driving, since they are constantly the back markers, and just on a few occasions, Albon was able to score some points for the team. Nevertheless, they could improve in 2023, but that wouldn't be a fair and a sure promise they can make to Danny, and it's highly unlikely that he'll spend the 2023 season there. And the last option that Ricciardo has is to take a sabbatical. That means that he'll take the money from the buyout clause from McLaren and will take the year off. On top of that, he'll be eligible to conquer an F1 seat in 2024, and it's been reported that Danny is eyeing off the Mercedes seat in 2024 if Hamilton was supposed to retire. However, it's highly unlikely that the team will replace Danny there, as they do have young drivers available, such as Nick de Vries. According to the drivers' parade at the Dutch GP, Ricciardo was heard saying to Perez that he'll take the year off and possibly come in 2024, so for now, that is the most realistic option that we should expect. As per Daniel Ricciardo, he said that every opportunity is open and that he'll explore the situation with a cold head and not bring decisions based on emotions. I'm certainly trying to give them guidance, but everything is also too fresh. What you've got to be careful of, and this is just in general, is especially with a decision like this, nothing can be emotional. So that's why I want to speak about it. The triple header is finished. Spa was Spa, but all of a sudden we're back into another weekend, so I probably won't get a chance to fully switch off and sit back until the end of the triple header. So I'm not really telling them no to anything for now. It's let's get everything there, and then after the triple header, maybe see what's available, and I'll probably know more where my head's at, and then start to maybe tick off and cross off some. I say it like there's going to be a million options. Probably not, but yeah, I'm very open-minded. Finished Ricciardo. There is another option that has emerged for Ricciardo, and that is the less likely one for him, but unfortunately seems like the most realistic one, which is the reserve driver seat in McLaren for the 2023 season. Not only is the least likeable position for Ricciardo, but it will also be a huge banishment for him to go from starter to reserve driver in one of the top performing teams on the grid. Even if it's a reserve, I don't want to be too proud to say that I'm too good for that. I'm pretty open-minded to every scenario. I think there's pros and cons with all of it. There's pros with having some time off as well. Currently, the 18 months I've had has been more challenging than not, so maybe some time away would be good. But then also staying active is good. That's why I want to hear everything. Even if it's a reserve, I don't want to be too proud to say that I'm too good for that. I just want to hear everything and see what makes sense. It could be something that sets me up better for the future, and next year, maybe one of those years where I need a bit of patience, said Ricciardo. I still definitely have the ability to love a project, said Ricciardo, who was asked if he would be able to join a less performing team for its future plans. But of course, if there is this longer project, and this one where you're going to win tomorrow, of course I'm going to go for the quick wins. They are things I will definitely give some thought to. I don't want to be stubborn or short-sighted and be like, no, I'm not interested in that. I will give everything its respected thought. From 2017, every 2 years I've been with a different team. I don't want to just sign something and think, wait, now something else is there for 2024. So it's probably not as simple as just getting somewhere on the grid next year. It can go probably in many different directions, so I don't think it needs an immediate decision. It's going to be about what's best for me. I wouldn't give up on F1. If it means I'm not on the grid next year, I'll certainly try to find a way to be on there in 2024, finished Ricciardo. Ricciardo then said that he spoke with Webber and with Oscar Piastri, saying that Webber indeed feels bad for the way things went, but he understands how the sport works and he isn't holding any grudge against Oscar Piastri. We hadn't seen obviously each other in person since it all started. I feel he didn't need to, but he felt like he wanted to, in a way, apologize and try to just see how I'm doing. Obviously, I know how the sport is, it's nothing personal to me, and he wanted to make sure that I knew that and understood that, and just to make sure that I felt okay. He feels really bad, obviously, in how it's gone down and obviously how things have been put out there in the media. So yeah, it was obviously nice to speak to him, said Ricciardo, who also said that he spoke with Oscar Piastri regarding this matter. I've also spoken to Oscar, to be honest, and just made sure that there's no bad feelings there. I understand how this works. He's trying to make it. He's trying to get into Formula 1. And this moment should be also really big for him. I don't want to make it a bad situation for him. That's that. It's nothing personal. So that's all the conversation was, and I truly do wish him well. I want him to have a good run in Formula 1, so it's just the circumstances and that's how it is. But I still obviously like Mark a lot and respect him, finished Ricciardo. What do you think will happen next with the 8-time Grand Prix winner? Let us know in the comments below.